Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Ingrid. I am so happy to be back with you all again. I am just going to make sure that I am going to pull you up over here on my iPad. All right, and what I'm going to be demonstrating for you today is everyday details. And the everyday details is in the mini catalog on page 28. It is offered as a bundle where it has the stamp set and the dies as well, which I have right here in front of me. Now these dies are really fun to play with, just because you can get like that negative space that you can play with, as well as just create little borders or rectangles all around. So really cute. All right. And I will be honest, while Chrissy was live and I was watching her, I was making sure that everything was pretty much die cut so that I wouldn't be struggling with time. All right, so this is the first card that we are going to create, and I made it a point for all three cards that I'm going to do. I'm using each of these images, and if I am not mistaken, no, I'm not. Yes, I am using all of the sentiments. So, let's begin. All right. So this first card, and I'm going to make sure that I have my measurements. So this card base is 4 1/4 by 11. And what I did was I cut 1/2 inch on the bottom. Okay, 1/2 inch on the bottom, just to give it a different look. So we're going to start first with our top part of the card, and see, I even pre-stamped my image so that all I had to do was color, because all three of these cards involve coloring. So for the top of the card, my white layer is 4 7/8 by 4 1/8, and then my designer series paper is 4 3/4 by 4. Now this designer series paper that I am using is the Flight and Airy 12 by 12 designer series paper, and it can be earned for free with a $50 purchase. So I just wanted to point that out. And it's beautiful, beautiful paper. I like these vintage flowers, and then you have the cute birds on the other side. So we're going to start piecing this card together, and then we will take care of the stamping and all the coloring that we're going to be doing. But at least if I can get this out of the way, hopefully I can move a little bit faster. All right. And this is going to go in the front of the card. And tape, got one ready. And it's going to go on that part where you cut off that 1/2 inch. Now we're going to do the inside. And my inside white piece is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And my small piece of designer series paper is 1/2 inch by 4 1/8. And I am going to line this up on the bottom. We're going to put this part on the inside of the card. Here we go. All right, so that way you have that small piece down there when you open it up. All right. So now what we're going to do is I pre-stamped the image, and I used that nest with the eggs, And what I did was I stamped it in a Memento ink because I'm going to be using the alcohol-based markers. That way my markers do not pull any of that black ink. So I'm going to start first with some dark balmy blue. And then I'm going to color those eggs in that light balmy blue, and we'll create some dark spots. I love these blending markers. We're going to let that sit for a minute and just dry, and we're going to go ahead and color in some of these leaves, which I am using the light Granny Apple Green. And I think this is a leaf back here. Yep. Now, because these leaves are small, I'm not using, I'm just using that light color. I'm not going to put any dark Granny Apple Green on here, just the light one. And then I'm going to use dark crumb cake. And here I'm just going to make sure I accentuate some of these twigs from the nest. And then we're going to color in using that light crumb cake. And it's going to pull from some of that dark. We're going to use the other side of the tip. And then we're just going to go back over with our dark balmy blue. Kind of just create a shadow there on those eggs. And a little bit more of that dark for the nest. And I'm just swishing. Perfect. Now, because this stamp set does not have the individual dies for the actual stamped images, hi ladies, I am going to fussy cut. And I am going to cut this excess off. And I'm just going to find a spot. And I know a lot of people do not like fussy cutting. If I can use a die, I'd rather use a die, but if it doesn't, that's okay. So when you are fussy cutting, I have found that the best way to is move the paper, and to me, you are just able to manipulate how that border is going around your image, and just in my opinion, it almost looks like if you used a die cut. And I will tell you, when I first started fussy cutting, it took me a while. But as you start doing more like intricate images, it kind of becomes a little bit easier. And then you can kind of go a little bit faster. But it does take time. Like, I could not do this when I first started fussy cutting. Just no way. I was like, it had to be perfect, and let's face it, nothing's just gonna come out perfect. I feel like I'm pulling back towards myself and not on the camera. Great. And then I just go ahead and straighten out those edges, and voila, that is our fuzzy cut piece. And let me see, I need to get my boho glue, and I am going to see, that was yellow, so I need another sponge. So what I'm going to do is, I had pre-die cut this circle using the Everyday Details dies, and a technique that I've been using today is just brushing that darker color on the edges. I just think it gives it a different look, and it helps it stand out. And I'm even going a little bit more on the inside, just kind of to create a little bit of that vintage look. And I do have, yep, I had a little piece there that hadn't gone off correctly. All right. And my nest is going to go a little bit more towards the top, because if you see with my card, my sentiment is going to kind of hover right on here. So I am going to put this on some dimensionals. And this circle right here is the biggest one from that die set. Okay. Perfect. All right, and like I said, it's gonna go more towards the top, just like that. Now this piece, I am just going to glue flat on here. And it goes closer to the top. And I am going to use some of that burlap ribbon that I did the last time. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of measure here alongside there. And I am going to use some tear-in tape to adhere this ribbon. Let me put it this way. And then I just like to press it down, make sure that it is on the ribbon. And we will position it right here along the bottom. Now we're gonna stamp our sentiment, and our sentiment is gonna go in garden green. And the sentiment that we're going to use is you make every day a little brighter. And I'm going to stamp closer to one side. Oops. We're going to turn it over. I kind of like double tapped. So if you see, it kind of created that shadow. Thankfully, cardstock is double-sided. And I am just going to snip at an angle. Now I know that this is not the correct way to do it, but this is the way that makes my brain happy. So I just go ahead and measure it like this and snip off at the end. Some people like to go ahead and measure. I like to hold it up just like that. And we'll put some adhesive. And then we just line it up. Perfect. We're gonna put some dimensionals. And we're gonna put that just a little bit above the ribbon, but we want to see the ribbon too. So kind of like a cascading type thing, just like that. And then we're going to use the iridescent Basic Pearls jewels. Whoops. I lost you there for a minute, but got you back. And we're just going to place a few of them around. Jane, this paper is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. I have seen so many people create different things with this paper, and I don't think I haven't seen something that I haven't liked just yet. Definitely will be casing some more ideas that I've seen. All right, so that is our first card. Less than 20 minutes. I will take that as a win. All right, so there we go. And then you've got space to write something, and then it just creates that cute little border. All right, so I'm gonna put these guys back, just trying to keep everything organized in this area. I want to make sure I clean those stamps, because like I said, I'm using each sentiment just one time. Now the next one is this one right here. This card base is 5.5 by 8.5, and it is scored at 4 1/4. I did use Moody Mauve, which is one of our new in colors. And see, this one I prepped a little bit more so that we wouldn't waste time. Yeah, all right, so we're gonna put this white piece in the inside already, and then we can just focus on the outside. And I think I'll give it a border with the little stamp. I didn't do it on my original one, but I think I'm gonna do it with this one. All right, I have found it. So I'm going to use my bone folder just to give this crease a little bit of more love. And I am going to bring a blending brush. We're going to move some stuff to the side because we are going to use the blending brush to give this paper a little bit of love. Now this paper that I am using for this card is the Softly Stippled Designer Series paper. It's 12 by 12, and it is also one that you can earn for free with a $50 purchase. It is beautiful, and this paper, I think that if you just add some color, it does the talking for you. You don't need to add too much. It does coordinate with the Stippled Roses bundle that Chrissy had talked about earlier today. So, all right. So for this one, I am going to use Moody Mauve. And there's still some ink on here, so I can go ahead and add to where I need to. And like Chrissy said, once you add a lot, you can't take it away, but you can always add more. And it seems that my pad is like extra juicy, so I'm just doing it very softly. And if you noticed, I'm getting a lot of that ink off before I come into my paper. Don't need it so dark. And I'm leaving some of those like white spots open. My intention is not to blend everything, just give those roses a little bit of color. So we're gonna put that aside. And this one is going to be adhered to that pebbled path. So that pebbled path is 4 by 5 1/4. And the Designer Series paper is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. And this is going to be the first layer on our actual card base. So we're gonna layer that one on. And it doesn't matter which way you face the paper, the roses are going to just look the same. Now for the next layer, which I already put together and I ran it through. So this pebbled path is 3 by 4, and the white piece is 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. And once I put them together, I ran it through the Softly Sophisticated 3D embossing folder, which is also a celebration item. And that's the one that I showed earlier today that with a $100 purchase, you earn the Softly Sophisticated stamp set and the 3D embossing folder. So you're getting 2 things with that celebration purchase of $100. All right, so now what I did for this one's going to be for my sentiment. This one I did not pre-stamp, but my first and my third card I did. All right, so this one we are going to stamp again in that Memento ink because I am using the alcohol-based markers. And I'm going to fussy cut this so I can stamp it on the farthest side of my paper because I can always use this later on for another project card. So I am going to put these markers away, and I am going to bring out the markers for this card. All right. So I started off by blending quite a few colors. I don't think that one was one of them. But I'm doing light, so I did dark flirty flamingo, sorry, for that flower. And then I used the light. And as it dries, it gets a little bit softer and not as bright. But I also came around and I added a bit of petal pink just to kind of dull it a little bit so that it wasn't so bright. And then the leaves are in old olive and granny apple green. Did I have that right? I think it was, I think I might have used a combination of both. So we're gonna do that dark granny apple green. Yeah, that's what I had done. Just blend those colors a little bit there. Mix and match. And then my coffee saucer is using Pool Party. So again, do the dark. And I just hit those shadowy parts that come already with the stamp. And then we go through the light. And with these markers, the more you pass over your color, the darker it will get. So you can create that light and darkness. So as you see here, like in that middle of the coffee cup, it's a little bit lighter. And we can go back with those shadow pieces. Again, the more we pass through it, the darker that color becomes. And you're just creating the beautiful light and dark blend. And it's almost like perfect. All right, so now we're also going to fussy cut this one. And I'm gonna put this piece aside because I can always use that later on. All right. And again, just moving the paper and leaving a bit of that white border. So pretty. And just like I did with the seeds earlier, you could probably go ahead and make a little thing for tea and maybe put some loose tea and then use this teacup to put on that clear bag, like the one that I did for the Mother's Day. All right, so I'm gonna clean that coffee cup. We're gonna put it back inside here. All right, now for this one, I just didn't want that circle. I wanted to give it some texture. So what I did was I got my bone folder and just went around the designer series paper trying to break up those fibers. When you break up those fibers, the paper starts to get a little thinner, which makes it easy. And I know some people do not like what I am about to do, but you get the paper and you just squish it. If any of those circles break, they break. It is part of the texture. You open it up and I'm going to squish it again. I think I did this maybe 2 or 3 times. And what you're doing is you're just breaking up the fibers and the paper. It becomes really, really soft. And I'm going to do it one more time. And it was just to create kind of like that vintage doily effect. Just like that. And then it will sit right up here. Now before we do that, we are going to use the mauve part, and this is part of the 2023-2025 in color jute trim. So it brings all the in colors, and we're going to use the mauve. So for this one, I did go ahead and put some adhesive on the back. And what I did was I stuck one part, I wrapped it over through the front, I stuck it on here, and then I cut. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that bow after, but I am going to get some dimensionals. And I just go cutting all of these because you can use those borders. And I'm going to use this long piece right here. And that's just going to help me secure that jute on that side. The dies are, I love them. I've seen so many other cards using these dies, and I was not going to get this set, but I am just trying so hard to look at things from a different perspective, I guess, if you want to call it. And something spoke to me. Something said, get it. All right, I know I'm putting a lot of dimensionals, and I don't care. There is also another stamp set. I'm not too fond of the stamp set. I don't remember the name of it. I know I wrote it down because I was looking at my catalog this morning, making a second wish list. I love the dies. I'm just not a fan of the stamp set. And I'll let you guys know which one that one is in just a second. So this layer is going to go right here on the top. I am going to put some adhesive on this piece, and it is really, really soft. So yes, Jane, that's one thing. I forgot who I learned that from, and it just breaks up the fibers really, really good. All right, we're gonna put some dimensionals on the coffee cup, the teacup. I guess it could be a cup of coffee too. And those dimensionals are done. And we'll put the cup right here. All right, and then for my little sentiment square, now this guy is 1 5/8 by 1 5/8 in Moody Mauve and 1 1/2 by 1 1/2 in white. And we are using Wishing You So Much Joy on this special day. We're gonna done with that guy. And it's just gonna go straight here in the middle. Ah, it didn't get real good on one side, which is okay. Much better. It looks a little bit crooked. But we'll be fine with it. And we're just gonna put that here. And I didn't dimensional this one. I just wanted it to lay flat. Oh, I'm not done with the jute. We need to make our little bow. There we go. And I want these flaps a little bit. This one seems a little bit longer than the other one. And I'm going to use a glue dot. And I'm just gonna put it on the back of my bow. And put it right there. Perfect. And what we're gonna do is, so that we're using just all the parts of this stamp set, I'm gonna take these little dotted guys and I'm gonna put them on a stamp. And I'm gonna get my extra piece of paper here because I want to stamp off once and then stamp. So stamp off and stamp, stamp off. We're going to reverse it and stamp, stamp off, reverse it and stamp. And that's what I was trying to avoid. So that is just that I have dipped my stamp into my ink and it gets on the borders and I press a little bit too hard. So it happens. All right, so that is our second card. So we're gonna put this one away. The next one is my favorite one. because it is very bright and cheery. So let me clean. I'm not sure if I cleaned this sentiment or not. And even with all this prep, I still feel like I'm running behind. Oh my goodness. All right. Excuse me. So this next card, it is bright and cheerful. And I used Lemon Lolly, which I know Lisa Marie loves that color. And I'm gonna put this guy here. Just trying to make sure I've got everything good. All right. So this card base, this one's a little bit different. This is a funky fold. So my card base is 4 1/4 by 11. I scored at 5 1/2, and I again at 8. Now why? Because if you see, here is that little thing, and when I open my card, I have something in the inside that helps it stand. So I have those 2 score marks. The original one for my card, and then another one almost like right in the middle. I think it's like the 2-inch mark or something like that. So that way it could be a standing card. All right. So I also pre-stamped this image so that it's just coloring, it's putting together. And I even ran it through. This is using the deckled rectangle dies. All right, so let's start building this card. Now, before I build it, I want to show you one of the dies is those long rectangular pieces, and this is what it does on the bottom. So I thought it would just look so pretty on the bottom of here. I don't need to add any designer series paper. I don't need to stamp anything inside. I have die cut the bottom of the inside layer, which I think it's beautiful. All right, so we're gonna do that on the inside. And then as you see, I've got my main fold and then my other fold. So we're gonna put this part together. Now this is the designer series paper that comes for all the color families. And it is 2-sided, so there's hearts on one side and then those staggered stripes on the other. All right, now the white piece on here is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. The designer series paper is 4 by 5 1/4. And then it's gonna go on this one, which is the same size as the card base. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And it is because I will show you how to make it work. So we're gonna put this on that yellow piece, but I almost did forget. We are using the white baker's twine, and it doesn't matter, even though I have the sticky stuff. We are going to wrap this around, and I did it 3 times, and I might need to give myself a little bit of more wiggle room for the bow, and then if I need to cut, we can cut. But I did wrap it around 3 times. And let me move this out of the way, because if it sticks onto the glass mat, I can always take it off. I'd rather it stick to the glass mat than to other paper. All right, so I'm gonna make a knot. I find making a knot helps me make my bows when I'm doing something like this. And I'm just going to adjust my bow because I don't want it too long. We will snip. We will lift. See, it was easier to take off of the glass mat than anything. And we're just going to add some extra adhesive. And this is going on this layer right here. Now for this part, I am going to put glue only on this bottom half. If you put it on the top, which is why I'm not touching this one, I'm not putting glue on this side, I'm putting glue on here, on the actual part of the card base. Because if you put glue on the top, you won't be able to open it. Your whole card's gonna stick. So I'm gonna put glue on this part. Now I'm gonna try to hold it flat as best as I can. Now I'm using the liquid glue because remember, I can move that liquid glue and make sure that that part down here is in position. So once I have it glued, it makes it easier for me to open up that flap, see? Because if you put glue over here, you're gonna stick it onto there. We don't want that. All right, and I'm gonna show you how we get that part in the middle. Let's do that before we do any coloring. So what I did for the inside was I used gray granite. We're gonna put this over here. I used gray granite and I used Overjoyed for You in This New Journey. I put it in the middle. Perfect. And then I am going to use Lemon Lolly. And I'm going to use those little dots. Whoops. Flying stamps. And I'm not pressing too hard. I am just going very light around the edges with that Lemon Lolly. We're gonna put that there. And then what I did, this is the modern oval punch. And it goes with, I can't remember for the life of me right now, but I will find it for you. I'm gonna put some adhesive on here, and I cut that one in yellow in half so that I can give my white oval just a little bit of a border. And it's that Lemon Lolly again. Now because I want him to hold my card, he has to go on dimensionals. If I don't put him on dimensionals, my card won't pop up. And for this card, I did not do any sentiment in the front. It didn't need it because I am putting my sentiment in the inside of my card. And I am trying to hurry up. I've got 10 minutes. So I kind of gear where I want how I want my thing to stand up. And then I go ahead and I place my oval there. So let's go ahead and get coloring on this card. So for this one, I used some brighter colors. And I took away some of these lighter ones. All right, so I'm going to color these in, this is light Highland Heather. And then I'm going to go over it with dark, just that little bud in the middle. For my leaves, I used dark Granny Apple Green. Now for some of the leaves, I just went on one side because they're so tiny. It's not like you can do a lot. So it was just the actual veins of the leaves. Oops. And I just realized that on the second card I forgot to put my embellishments. So we'll do that in just a sec. That's part of the leaf there. And then I have dark Melon Mambo. I wanted this to be a bright card. Happy card. Because we're overjoyed for this new journey. Almost, and then I'm going to go one more time around again with that dark. And that is not, I don't think so, nope. My lemon lolly sponge is right here. So again, you know, I've been favoring this all day, filled with happiness. Thank you so much, Chrissy. And I'm just going to sponge on the edge. So Filled with Happiness is the one that coordinates with the Modern Oval Punch. I'm just looking at my time. And this one is going to go on dimensionals. And if I have a minute, I will show you some cards that I made with that Filled with Happiness. And then this is going to go right here in the center. And we are going to add the Tinsel Gems 4-pack. And they have the Lemon Lolly gems. And I only used 2 on this card. And that was it. Whoops. Oh, I forgot to color the base. That was also in that pool party. Both using the light and the dark. Let's use the brush, go a little bit faster. And then like this as well, you kind of just go darker to create that look. So there we go. And I am going to bring back the other card the one of Moody Mauve and add, these are the in color dots that I forgot to add to. I can never get these guys to work for me. Seems like that was a lot better. All right, so I'm going to bring back the 3 cards. And Rebecca, I believe, is coming up next. So here is the first one, our second card, and our beautiful third stand-up card. And that modern oval punch. These were some of the cards, extra cards that I made using that Filled with Happiness stamp set, using that oval punch so that you all can see. All right, guys, again, coming up next is Rebecca, I believe, and she has the submarine one for you guys. I'm excited to see that one, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have loved having you, and I will interact with you guys with Rebecca and Lisa Marie. Thanks, guys. Bye.